Good afternoon.
Hello.
We are muted now.
Yeah.
They can hear what we're saying. That's good. All right.
Everyone can hear us then.
Hopefully, yes. Yeah, otherwise it's a bit. So there's Karen from this morning.
Come on.
Karen, she's
Yeah, Illuminations. Brian Brown.
Brian
Hello.
Brown. Hello, Brian. Hi.
Good afternoon.
Yes, very nice. What sort of time is it over there then?
Less confusing than the messages.
I'm just going to turn that sound up a little bit. I think we're a bit
Yeah, I've turned mine up a bit.
quiet here, actually, if I can find it. Oh, I don't know how to do that now.
Am I too loud?
No. Everyone's fine. It's just me.
I'm going to get you muted in a minute.
Probably.
Technical test.
I know.
Picture. We'll put it right.
There we go.
54, is that enough?
Yeah, probably. There you go.
And there's Roxanne.
Hi.
Hi, Roxanne. How are you?
Who's Roxanne?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, thank you. A few technical things going on here, but it's all right. We're surviving.
Is that from you this morning?
Yes, yesterday. And there's Karen from this morning. Roxanne's over on the left.
Oh, yeah.
So, where's my lady from Africa? She's not
I see
there.
Shalom's there. Hello, Shalom.
Where's Shalom?
Illuminations, Shalom.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Sandi.
Hello
Hi,
there.
Shalom.
Somebody's calling you.
Somebody's got a phone call coming in. It's not us.
It's audio. Deborah. Apparently.
Okay. Start.
Just give ourselves 1 minute so that everyone's here and ready.
So I think I need to do the mute microphones first. And
Tell
I'll
them
do
why.
that second. Yeah. And it's fascinating seeing.
It is, yeah.
Brian, have you been to one of the services at Exeter? You know, they're doing those on Zoom now.
I've not done anything for a very long time.
Okay, well, Jamie's put the Sunday service on Zoom. So you can go to the service, you can sit in your sitting room and watch the service. It's very good.
Okay.
No singing. Wonderful.
No singing, no, exactly.
No. You haven't heard my voice.
No, you know mine.
Right. Ready.
Okay.
So, good afternoon, good morning, good
I think it's
evening.
good evening. A lot of them are. So, can we first of all get you to mute your microphones for the time being, please? All mute your microphones.
Good.
Otherwise, we get a lot of noise here. And just to let you know that at the end of this, we will have a session of questions and answers.
And chat.
And you probably have a chat box availability. We can't deal with that until the end, until the seminar is finished. So if you have a question in a chat box, please stay online and we will answer them when we have finished the seminar. Because we've discovered we can't do two things at once, so that's how we're going to handle it. Yeah. Somebody's not muted their microphone.
M at the bottom.
The host can mute the microphone from their side.
No, yeah, but we're not the hosts on this one.
We haven't got a host link.
We've
got a different link this time to what we usually have, so we're having to make do with what we've got. But if everybody could mute their microphones, that would be great. Okay.
Okay. Good.
Excellent. Then I think we can start. So, who is it? It's that one.
Christine.
I'm not sure if I can actually. I'm not the host.
No, we see if we were the host, we could control all of you, but we can't.
My Adler, maybe.
Right. Okay. All right. So, as Mike said, welcome to everyone. So I'm Sandi Mays, and I work for Illuminations online, where I do clairvoyant psychic and clairvoyant mediumistic readings. I work with people's energy. In other words, I work with their spirit, their soul. I use the vibration of my client's voice to access their energy field, which contains everything about them, their past, their present, their future potential. I also link in with the energy of spirit people in the spirit world, those belonging to my client, and I will identify them for my client in a reading.
Okay, well, I'm Mike Mays, Sandy's other half, not the better half, mind you. I also work online for Illuminations at this moment. It's really wonderful, so thank you, Illuminations, where I do trance healing. It's the deepest form of level. It's on a delta level, which is a really deep level, a trance level. I access the universal healing energy of spirit, which I can channel through my energy system to the energy system of my client. This healing energy repairs, rebalances the client. I become aware of exactly where the energy's been working. And I will give that to the client. So I'll give the information to them and show them how to avoid future damage, if you like, of your energy field. The healing succeeds wherever it goes, wherever it's given to, basically. And I can do this at a distance, or on a one-to-one, or on webinars like this, because energy has no boundaries, no time, no limit, no space, if you like.
Okay, next month we are introducing a course of mediumship development classes, which will teach you all about the clair senses, linking in with spirit, working with spirit. And you can contact Illuminations for full details of this, and also to book consultations with Mike and I. So that's got all the introductory section out of the way. So the title of this seminar is Who Do You Think You Are? A Journey of Self-Discovery, Finding Your True Self. So we'd already designed this and written the description and everything. And then on Facebook the other day, I found this quote, which was so appropriate for this seminar. So I'm just going to read it to you. Finding yourself is not really how it works. You are not really lost. Your true self is right there, buried under cultural conditioning, other people's opinions, and all kinds of other input from the world around you. Also, inaccurate conclusions that you draw as a child and as an adult, which became your beliefs about who you are. Finding yourself is actually returning to yourself, an unlearning, an excavation, and remembering who you were before the work.
Okay. So, who do you think you are? There's a question asked a lot of times. Who do you think you are? People say to you. Okay. So, what do we normally say? Well, I'm a mother. Well, not me, but you. I'm a father. I am. I'm a son. Yeah, I am. I'm a daughter. A sister. A brother. A husband. A wife. A friend. An employee. But who are you really? Firstly, when do you ever ask yourself, how am I? How am I? Do it now. I want you to ask yourself, how am I feeling physically? Mentally? Emotionally? Okay, so the answers you've got, those answers, tell you how you are at this moment in time. And it can only be this moment in time, because that's all we have at this moment in time. Okay. Secondly, ask yourself, who or what can change that? Are you aware of those influences? Are you aware of them? And how do we receive them?
So the answer to how you receive those influences that change how you are at any moment in time, you receive them through transmissions from different sources, from different inputs. I'm sure you are all aware that you have senses, 5 physical and then the 6th sense of the intuition. But how much attention do you pay to the input from your senses? How aware are you of what your senses do for you? I describe them as the sat-nav of life. They are largely just taken for granted, it just happens. But if we examine them, you will become aware of the input they allow other people, other things to have on you, the self. So I'm going to spend a bit of time on this section because it's really, really important that you think about this. So let's take the sense of seeing, your sight. I'd like you all, just for a minute, to close your eyes so you can't see anything. How does that feel? Ask yourself, how does it feel to see nothing? It's not very nice, is it? We're so used to opening our eyes in the morning and seeing everything. So you can open your eyes now. It's just to give you an impression. So our sight is so important. What we see has a profound effect on who we are and how we feel. Can have 2 sides to it. We can look at something that makes us feel wonderful. Where we live in England, we wake up in the morning and we look out at the countryside all around us. Just amazing, particularly at this time of year. And it gives a tremendous sense of joy. We've been fortunate enough to have recently in England, in the UK, as you in Dubai and overseas will know, it's not always like this here because you have consistent good weather. We have occasional good weather. We have had extraordinary weather in April, and we've woken up to blue skies every morning, which I find really uplifting. So 2 days ago, we woke up to grey skies, and I thought, oh, I'm not feeling so good today. What's this about? And I thought, oh, I know why. I'm looking out at a grey sky. If I look out at a blue sky with sunshine, it uplifts me. A grey sky depresses me. Now, why is that? How does that work? Why does that make me feel different? Well, it makes me feel different because my eyes work through the optic nerve, which is connected to the brain. So transmissions from my outer world come into my inner world through my sight. That is just a little flavor. I mean, we do whole workshops on the senses and we can do whole weekends, whole weeks on it. It's huge. But that's just a little insight into how what you look at can affect you. At the moment, we are looking at very beautiful things around us, but it's not always the case. Sometimes we have images from television of not such wonderful things. Start noticing how what you're looking at affects you. Now let's move on to your hearing. What people say to us can really change how we feel, can't it? The words, the tone of voice, it can actually affect us profoundly. How does that transmit to the self? Well, it transmits into our ears through the auditory nerve to the brain, and it causes us to feel different. Now, the news at the moment is a classic example of this. We don't normally watch the news, but since COVID-19 has been around us, at the beginning, we watched the news avidly. We wanted to know everything. And then all of a sudden we realized that there was nothing we could do beyond pray and send energy. And it was having a bad effect on us. So we stopped. We only look now at local news and we send out healing energy to what we need to send it out to. But we don't want to hear continuous statistics which are depressing. So I'm sure all of you know what I'm talking about. We can hear something and it's like a good mood is changed into a bad mood. Somebody can say something to us, and it all depends on the tone of voice. You know, it's not what you say, it's the way that you say it. So your hearing transmits things to you. All right, so then we have the sense of touch. We can be touched by somebody else in a very beautiful way, like massage. Personally, that makes me feel amazing. Some people hate it, but that's a personal thing. But if somebody touches me violently, that has a completely different effect. So just be aware of what sensations through your skin are providing you and how it changes you. So if somebody bumps into you in a shopping mall and they say, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean, they touch you on the arm. They say, I didn't mean to do that, I'm really sorry. You feel okay. I do anyway. If somebody does that to me and then they go rushing on, I feel different. I feel like I've been abused. I mean, it's just a different impression. And then just touching briefly on the sense of smell. Smells can have a profound effect on us and how we feel. So I don't know what happens overseas, but in England, the supermarkets have a habit of pumping out smells. So if I smell baking bread, it makes my mouth water. And I go and buy more stuff because I'm hungry. And that's very dangerous. They say always shop on a full stomach, otherwise you'll buy things you don't need. Be aware of what your sense of smell does to change how you feel. And obviously, without going into personal details, people's personal smells have an effect. So I'll be pleasant about this. For example, perfume, aftershave, that can have a very positive effect on us. Sense of taste. Taste is a highly pleasurable thing that helps us enjoy the food that makes us survive, but it can make us feel different. It can change how we feel. And that's why we choose to eat what we really like to eat. But it's all All these senses I'm describing are connected by the nervous system to the brain and cause changes in us. And then we have the sixth sense of intuition. Harder to describe, but nevertheless, it can change how we feel. So that's all your senses, but then we have the energetic input from the energy field. Now, I have found in the 2 weeks that we've been working with people in Dubai that you're quite well informed about energy fields. You really seem to understand it, which is really great. And if I say the word chakra to someone, they seem to understand what I'm talking about, which is pretty, you know, it's great because I don't have to keep explaining it. So your energy field all around you receives all the energetic input, other people's energies, the energy of a room, the energy of a building. It is all transmitted into your energy field, which is all around. And I'm kind of assuming you all know what an energy field is and what it looks like. We didn't used to, but there are no photographs around online. If you're not sure, go online and look up the name Kirlian, Kirlian, and that is the name of a doctor in the 1920s. He invented a camera which actually photographs the energy field. So it's kind of the proof of what it is. So anything that comes into your energy field goes into your chakras. I'm not assuming everybody knows what they are, I expect you do, but they are energy centers, 7 energy centers, which actually from the top of your head to the base of your spine attach your energy field to your physical body. And there is massive energetic input all the time, and this might be even more powerful and more subtle than what we see and what we hear. So if we walk into a room and we can sense the energy of the room, we know if we like it or if we don't. If somebody introduces someone to us at a party, host comes up to you and says, oh, this is Mr. So-and-so, you're really going to get on well with him. And off the host goes and leaves you with this person. You will know very quickly if you're going to get on with that person or not. And that's because your energy has blended with theirs. It's been an exchange of information. It's gone in through your chakras, which are directly connected to your nervous system, up to your brain, and you've got an impression of that person. I'm comfortable, I'm not. It's that sort of assessment, if you like. And that is the effect of energetic input through your chakras into your nervous system, up to your brain. And don't forget, your energy field is your spirit. It absolutely has a profound effect on you, the energetic, the spiritual, and the physical. There's a direct connection between all of those things. So you just need to be aware when you start feeling different from how you were, say, at the beginning of the day, or when you asked yourself, how am I? You need to be aware of who or what has changed that. Now, I just want to say one more thing about chakras before I move on. They're not only connected to the nervous system, they're also affected to a rather less known system called the endocrine system. And that is a system that controls hormones in your body. So your chakras can send messages to that system, and that enables hormones to be released to have an effect, positive or negative, on you. It will affect your behavior. It will affect your emotions. So I'm just hoping this is giving you an impression of the complexity of the human being, the human system, and how you can just pick all this up through transmissions, and they're invisible. It's a bit like mobile phone signals. They're invisible, aren't they? We can't see them. We can't see microwaves. They all have an effect. And the energetic input from your senses, the energetic input from your chakras has a profound effect on who you are. If you understand it and you are aware of it, you can be in control of yourself. You can find yourself underneath all the influences. In the end, you can protect yourself from the influences. You can make clear choices about what you look at, what you listen to. And in the end, when you get a bit better at it, the knowledge of energy and chakras, you can actually control how somebody else's energy affects you. So that is how the effects of the outside world affect your inner world, and your inner world is where your self lives.
Okay, so let's look at people in our lives. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depends how you look at it, we are surrounded by people, and they have a big effect on us and our energy fields. To a point, they're infectious. They infect us because what they say, what they do, everything has a profound effect on us because it comes through our energy field into our chakras, up to the brain, gives us some sort of impression. Usually it's quite good. Sometimes it's not so good. Doesn't matter, they have a profound effect on us. They can also steal from us, as in our energy. So theft, if you like. A lot of people, they don't mean to. I don't believe anyone's meaning to be harmful, but sometimes people steal your energy as a thief, theft. They'll come up to you and they just talk to you and not let you get a word in or whatever, and actually steal your energy. But of course, you have choices. So you have choices of how you wish to deal with that, how you want to make that. Okay. So let's look at places in our life. For example, towns. I don't know what it's like in Dubai or anywhere else, if anyone's from any other country. But towns here are smallish areas, if you like, but got a lot of shopping malls and things like that. Has a vast effect on our energy. For us, personally, shopping malls can be exciting, but
not to you.
No, not to me, because I don't like shopping. But they're not
very exciting
good,
for me.
Not good for our energy field sometimes, because again, there's a lot of people walking around. There's a lot of people in shopping malls, and we're bouncing off everyone else's energy. So they're having an effect on us. We're having an effect on them. We're in close proximity to their energy fields, and it has a big effect on us. I personally don't like it because I find it too much energy, if you like. So I find I sort of almost, I can sense, and so can Sandi, sense everyone else's energy, and it's too busy, too noisy, and it has an effect on me. So I don't particularly like it, and it's only for that reason. Of course, I like shopping. We all like shopping. Gadgets, probably. Well, gadgets maybe. But sci-fi stuff. But for me, it's other people's energies. Does that make sense? And this is how this works. And cities, well, cities are the same. Cities are lovely. We've got some really beautiful cities around the world. Although I do find them mainly much the same nowadays. I find that. I remember the first time I went to China. I thought, I've got to go to Beijing, got to see this place. It's great. But realistically, it's no different from any other city. So I find that difficult as well. Malls, as we've said. Country. Now, country has a big difference. So we live in a nice country, and I'm sure country can have a different effect on us. Really different effect on us. And things like oceans. Well, the ocean is beautiful. It doesn't matter where you live or who you are. I think personally, the ocean has a wonderful effect on everyone's energy. It really strengthens your energy. It makes you feel good. The noise of the sea and the waves, etc., etc. It's really, really beautiful. It's calming for me anyway. It certainly has a massive effect. And I know it does for Sandy, because she could sit on a beach or whatever forever on a day just listening to the waves.
That's because I came from Atlantis.
And it's absolutely lovely. Thank you, Mr. Postman. The postman's just dropped some letters through the door, if you're wondering that. And a couple of parcels by the looks of it. I hope it's not bills, but there you go. This is what happens in everyday life.
That's when you have the studio in your sitting room.
So for your information, let's think about this as well. So all these effects are having on you. Let's think about the dreaded phones, the mobile phones. Well, when they were first invented, they were absolutely wonderful. They looked like house bricks, you know, they were huge. Now they're tiny little things, and we can talk to each other and we can do all sorts of things and see each other, and are wonderful, wonderful things, but used in the right way. How many of us realistically use it in the right way? And it can have a big effect on your energy and on your energy field. I've just started to use mine more often than I do. It used to be just for the odd phone call or maybe a message if I'm lucky. I've got things like WhatsApp and Botim and all these other sort of things.
Only because of Illuminations.
I know, only because of Illuminations. Normally, and Zoom, I wouldn't have even bothered and thought, well, what's that all about? So I tend to use it more now than I ever have done. But on a practical side, I can't do, like a lot of you can do, is texting, and they go like that with the thumbs, and it's like, man, to me, it's like, oh, my energy can't do that. So we need to be aware of things like that, just how it affects your energy field and how you are. So we need to look at that. Internet, exactly the same. I mean, you know, these days it's fantastic. Everyone's on the internet. It's wonderful. Is it having an effect on our energy field? Probably. We can't do without it these days, to a point. Certainly in the present circumstances, climate, if you like, with COVID, this is fantastic. And what Illuminations is doing is a great job actually getting people together. And I think, you know, everyone's starting to do this, and it's absolutely wonderful. So we're actually not only healing the planet, but we're healing ourselves to a point. So that's really, really good. TV and newspapers. Well, there's the biggest bugbear, because TV is nice when you're watching some nice film or you decided to watch it. But a lot of people in this world have TV on from morning, noon to night. They're not really listening to it. They're not really watching it, but it's there in the background, and it's noise that's going to affect you. When we said earlier on about the hearing, that's going to have a big effect on your energy field, because it's just background noise. We worked in a place once in Australia, and we went for a drink afterwards because we'd had a long day. We went into this bar, and we had to go outside with our drinks because it was so loud. And in this bar, there was TVs everywhere, all playing different sports and different things. And I said to the barman, how many TVs is there here? And he said 36 in this little bar, 36 TVs. The noise was horrendous, a big effect on your energy field. So if you don't need it, don't put it on. You're better off putting on some nice meditative music or something like that, because it's going to calm you down, and it's going to be less effective to your energy field and less damaging for your chakra systems and energy field. Newspapers is the same, really, a bit like TV with the news. The problem with the news is I don't know who to believe. And I'm not political or anything particularly, but I don't know who to believe. I really don't. One channel says, oh, this is happening. The next channel says, no, that's okay. This is happening. I don't know. I don't know where to go. And it worries me. So I tend not to do it. Anything that worries me, I tend to sort of think, well, maybe I'll just sit and make my own mind up, or I'll sit and be for a little while and just reflect on it and think, is this hurting me, or is this doing me good? I know which one I'd rather have.
So everything Mike's been talking about, and everything that I talked about with the senses and the energy, will make changes in the answers to those questions that Mike asked you earlier on in the how am I section. How am I feeling physically, mentally, emotionally? And that is you. If you're answering those questions with your feelings, that is the essence of you. That's who you are underneath everything else. But all of the things that we've been talking about can change how you are, and therefore that sense of who you are. It's very important to be aware of all this, because if you're not aware of it, you're a victim of it. It washes over you in a flood, and it makes the changes without you even noticing. It takes away your choice of what you allow in to change who you are. Now, some of the changes can be positive, but if you're not aware of the influences, then you're swept along by the tide of life, and you lose that sense of who you really are, the essence of you. That's what I read in readings, that real person behind the masks of daily life, the roles that Mike talked about. In England, we say the hats we wear, the mother, the father, all of this stuff. That's okay, but underneath it all is the real person. And we're trying to help you regain, refine, wherever you are with this, that sense of self. And that's what we're trying to do. So I've just got a few more points to raise here, choices. So if you think about your daily life, what uplifts you? What depresses you? What puts you down? So what uplifts me, I said it earlier on, is a blue sky and sunshine with my eyes and with my ears. And if I wake up early, where we are in the country, I will be aware of the first bird waking up and singing. And I find that uplifting. Now, you will all be different. You'll have different things. I'd just like you to start being aware of what uplifts you. And then there are things that depress us. It can be people, it can be experiences, but nevertheless, it has the effect of lowering our energy and making us feel literally depressed. Some of that can be from outside influences like TV and the news and other people talking. I mean, you know, we've only got it, we're allowed in our village shop one at a time with a social distancing of 6 foot between us. So it's quite interesting in Cornwall. Outside all the shops now, you see chairs set up 6 feet apart. It's quite funny. And it's developed, there's quite a social life around this 6 foot apart thing. But once you get in the shop, the shopkeeper, it depends on his mood really. If he's in a good mood, he'll uplift you and it's all light and bright. But if he's not, you're going to come out feeling worse than you went in. So you see what I mean? You know, people around you can uplift or depress. So we have a choice, don't we? We can, if we're aware of these things, we can start making choices about what we allow in and who we allow to affect us. That's our power. We can make those choices. So what or who uplifts, what or who depresses? I know for a fact that the most uplifting experience I can have is going for a walk in our local woods and just looking at the flowers, the wild garlic, all of these things. And I drive Mike mad because I'm a very slow walker, because I like to look at everything and experience it. And if I see something I really love, I'm just going to stop and stare. And that is something that everybody needs to do more of, because in that stopping and staring at nature or something that moves us, we will find ourselves. We will find reality. And we are real. We are human beings. So what about our feelings? That's part of us. That's a really true part of us. But if we stop and analyze our feelings, are they pleasant or are they unpleasant? Do we ever stop and ask that, and we just let them wash over us? Oh, that felt nice. That didn't feel so good. Okay. What makes us feel good? What makes us feel bad? What's pleasant? What's unpleasant? If we're aware of that, why would we choose the unpleasant? I can't work that one out. I would never choose the unpleasant. And if the unpleasant feeling comes, I'm going to try and get rid of it with a positive, nice feeling, because I don't like feeling down. I really don't. And at the moment, we have to be so careful in the world to stay positive. We have to hang on to positivity. So that's our feelings. And incidentally, your feelings are the truth because they come from the heart of you. But what about your thoughts? Dangerous thing, the mind. Very dangerous. Mind games. It can play mind games with you. It can create a reality that isn't real. Your thoughts can run away with you. Be careful. Notice your thought patterns. They're very often conditioned by our past, our childhood, our education, our careers, our friendships, our relationships. They all add in to how we think. And that's all right, so long as we're in control. But if we're not in control, our choices between negative and positive become less. And I can't think of anybody, any real person with a sense of self who would choose to feel negative. But we often end up that way if we're not careful because our thoughts have pushed us in that direction. So what we're talking about here is the effects of things. And you, yourself, you need to remember you always have a choice. Always. Be empowered, have a choice.
Okay, so let's talk about this and the mind and how we are and what's happening within our mind. There's a lot of, well, the in word seems to be, in one way nowadays, is mindfulness. It's quite a new word. It's quite exciting in a way because I didn't know much about this mindfulness before. But I know now you can be mindful of certain things. I look at it as mindfulness. I don't look at it like that. I think of it as mindful of mess because our minds are literally full of mess and are full of things that we may not necessarily need or want. So we have to be mindful of the mindful of mess. We have to be mindful of what we see, what we do, our actions, somebody else's actions, all this sort of thing. We have to be mindful of it. And that's not, again, being mindful of all these horrible things. It's just being mindful of what you're doing and how you're dealing with it. Very few of us these days are mindful of how we are. I think what we need to be looking at is there's a lot of people that do meditation. I understand that. And meditation is absolutely wonderful to bring your brainwaves down and to allow that mind, if you like, to have some time off. Basically, that's what it is. Very rare we stop ourselves from going overboard, if you like, with our mind, because normally we're just running around like headless chickens or whatever. We're doing this at work, we're doing that, we're listening to somebody else, and we get clogged. Our minds get clogged. So we need to be mindful of that. We need to slow ourselves down and our minds down. And that can be done with meditation, or we like to call it sitting.
Or sitting and being.
Sitting and being, because as Sandi says, we're human beings, not human doings. So we shouldn't be doing all the time. We need to stop our brains sometimes and give them a rest, because the poor brain, as we said earlier on, is bringing all this information in. It's all going up through the nervous system, up through the chakras, up into the brain, and the poor old brain gets bombarded. How many times do we actually shut our brains down? If you do this in a meditative state or whatever, believe me, you will not die. Your brain cannot shut off completely. It will not do, even when I'm in the true delta state, it will, and I'm not aware of my surroundings or conscious thoughts, it won't stop doing the functions that it should do to keep you alive. But what it does is it gives it a rest. You know, when you're really tired, you say, oh, I really want to shut my eyes. I just want to rest. And you do that, right? That's an automatic thing. So what can we do with our brains? Why do you have to keep thinking all the time? Because sometimes it's not good for you. So you need to give it rest. And how we do that is through meditation, or sitting as we like to call it. And the only reason we call it that is because meditation is a word for some people where they have to do some meditation for a certain period of time. So for example, you say to yourself, okay, right, I'm going to meditate today, and I'm meditating at 2 o'clock, and I'm doing it for half hour, and then you go, right, okay, here I am. And you take 10 deep breaths or whatever you do. You've already got it in your mind that you can only do this for half an hour because you've got to pick the kids up from school or whatever else you've got to do. You've already got it in your mind that, right, that's it, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to go right down, I'm not going to have any thoughts in my head, it's not going to happen. So straight away you've got up a barrier, an invisible barrier, if you like, that says, hang on a minute, I can't do this. This is too much. And for most people, they don't do it because it is too much. So we like to sort of sit and be, because sitting and being has no barriers. You can decide that you just want to sit and be. Just sit for yourself and be. And if you get thoughts that come into your head, so what? You know you're going to roughly do it for 2, 5, 10 minutes, but who cares? Sit and be. And what it does is it lowers the brain waves and allows you to do this. Very quickly with the brain waves, the brain is an electrochemical organ. Uses cells and neurons that bash around together, if you like, and they produce electricity. It can be measured on an EEG machine, brainwave patterns. What happens is that there's 4 main states, but there's lots of other states, and I'm only going to work with the 2. So the first top state, if you like, is the beta state. And that's where you're thinking, working, doing whatever you're doing all day long. The brain's very, very active. And it's producing electricity, as I said. It's not the electricity that can kill you. Like I know. It's pulse, it's measured in pulses per second of electricity. And in that top state, it's producing 13 to 60 pulses per second of electricity all the time. So it's quite high. If you look at the very last state, the bottom state, the delta state, which is what I work in, where you're not aware of your surroundings, you're not aware of any thoughts whatsoever. It's almost an unconscious state, if you like. It goes down to 0.1 to 4. A big difference. And obviously between those states, there's sleep states and there's other states. But it just means that what we're trying to do is trying to get you to bring those brain waves down so that you can have a better quality of life, so that your energy field is much more balanced. Your chakras are much more balanced. You feel energized. Your stress levels and your thought patterns are so much better. So good for you. And you only need to do it at a little time each day. So it really, really does help. Okay. And the result, obviously, of all this is peace, oneness with yourself. You will actually probably find yourself, putting yourself back into life, if you like. You really will find out who you are, where you are, what makes you tick, what doesn't as well. And you'll find all that. And maybe we'll write that down and examine it and look at it and think, maybe I can change that just by doing a little bit of sitting and being you.
So everything we've talked about up until now, it comes under one big umbrella. That's the umbrella of awareness. We need to be aware in our lives of what is affecting us, how it's affecting us, who is affecting us. Unless we know that, unless we're aware of what is influencing us, we're never going to hold on to our true self. So this is just to kind of get you on that journey to rediscover, reclaim yourself, find yourself again. But it has to be awareness. It has to be that feeling of, well, how am I? We're always asking other people, how are you? how we ask ourselves, how am I today? How do I feel about this? And it's the I, it's that feeling from within you that will help you rediscover yourself. So as you begin to rediscover yourself, you may find that you quite like yourself. That's quite interesting too. You haven't visited yourself for quite a long time, I expect. You may quite like that person, and that's really good. And that is that true sense of self, because the self in this lifetime is really all there is. Everything else goes in on top. We came into this world alone. We will leave it alone. Our spirit will leave it alone. In between, we experience all kinds of different things. We meet all kinds of people. They have an effect on us. But hold on to that sense of self. Now, let's assume that you actually are rediscovering or have discovered yourself. So how do you care for that person, the self? I expect you're all busy caring for other people or busy doing other things. But how do you care for the self? How do you make yourself feel better and healthy and fulfilled? Well, I've got quite a list here, actually, of things I've jotted down. Let's start with free time. How many people have free time? Now, we can tell you quite honestly that this COVID thing actually showed us how little free time we've had before. So then it's enforced on us. We're in lockdown. Our main work in the UK with big health resorts was removed because they were all closed down. And we're like, oh, what are we going to do now? Oh dear. And we discovered we'd had that wonderful gift of free time, and we actually really, really enjoyed it. It's like, well, what should we do now? Where should we go? And that stopped because we're not allowed to go out too much. But we had a big journey of discovery, had free time. Illuminations came along and they've taken up a little bit of our free time. We've never, and we're very grateful for that, but we've never lost that sense of choosing what to do, which we probably hadn't even thought about before. Next thing is very basic, water. The human body has a very high percentage of water. We need to drink plenty of it to keep ourselves healthy, to keep ourselves fluid, because water and energy are very similar, and our energy fields need to flow, our bodies need to flow. We need to keep drinking the fluids to wash toxins out, pollutants out. So don't forget that.
In case you're wondering, this is fresh lemon in some water. All right, so
it's not whiskey, it really isn't.
It is
whiskey.
okay.
All right, so the next thing is food. Everything else obvious, I eat every day. Think about what you're putting in your bodies. What are you feeding yourself? Is it nutrients, or is it just stuff to stop you feeling hungry? And that's something I've noticed with this situation we're in now. Of course, nobody can go out to eat. You can't, you have to cook for yourselves. Oh my goodness. And I know in the UK, we had a toilet paper shortage to start with. Now we have a flour shortage. Not flowers that grow in the garden, but flour that we cook with. Everybody is baking, making bread, making cakes and everything. People are rediscovering themselves and what they can do. Right, sleep. Now Mike's touched a bit on this, but sleep isn't just being unconscious for a certain number of hours, it's quality of sleep for the self. So in the half an hour before you are about to try and sleep, try and be peaceful. Don't read books, don't watch television, because it stimulates the brain and it affects the quality of your sleep. Fresh air, deep breathing. Fresh air to us is, we sleep with the window open at night because we love the feeling, even if it's cold, of fresh air. And remember, when you're breathing, don't just shallow breathe. Breathe right down into yourself, because breathing is the rhythm of your breath is something that actually you have nothing to do with. Your body does it automatically. It's the rhythm of you, the in breath and the out breath, on and on. Make sure that breath is going to be clean air, and make sure it goes deep enough. Exercise, that's another one, gets the energy going. One of the things the British government, and I think other governments, have said in this crisis situation, we're all allowed to exercise every day. Well, in our village, we've been astounded the amount of exercise everybody's doing. They're running, they're cycling, they're walking fast. It's amazing. Everybody is so much healthier. Exercise stimulates every system in our body, and that helps the self. Eyes, I mentioned eyes with the senses. Well, it's obvious how you care for your eyes. Please don't stare at computer screens all day, because it's a series of pulsating energy lines that your eyes have to deal with. Try and rest them. And at the moment, we can't. We were talking about this the other day, weren't we? We can't. We're both due eye tests. We'll get them as soon as we can get out and they're available. Don't neglect your eye tests. Look after those eyes. Imagine if you didn't have them, if they didn't work. The same with the ears.
You are allowed to look at computer screens, by the way, if you're looking at us.
If you're looking at us, that's all right. Yeah, that's fine.
You know, you've got an online seminar, that's absolutely great. No problem. Oh, you're talking to Illuminations, of course.
Just be aware of how much work your eyes are having to do. It's the same with your ears. Be aware of what they're coping with. Not too much noise. Not too much rubbish to input into your brain. A lot of damage being done to ears nowadays by too loud music, headphones in the ears. It's, you know, just this all common sense stuff. Sense of taste. How many people taste their food properly, or do you just shovel it in mindlessly? Do you actually think about what you're eating? Or are you on your mobile phone looking at the screen? I leave that question with you. You have taste buds in order to make eating a good experience. And if it's a good experience, you will feel good, you will enjoy it. And that in turn makes you, yourself, feel good. All of these things are feel-good factors. Mike's already mentioned meditation, and the final one is healing. That act, the word heal means to make better or make whole. We all need it. It isn't, you don't have to be physically sick to need healing. That's a misconception that people have. Your energy is being damaged all the time by the effects of the world. Look after it, get some healing, or give it to yourself. Everybody can put their hands on themselves and ask for the healing energy to flow from the universe for you. And by the way, that's not selfish, it's sensible. You yourself are the most important person in your life. You need to remember that, and you need to find that person.
True. So once you've rediscovered yourself, know that you have the abilities to choose for yourself. This is you. You have all this. You have the talents and abilities, everything you need for this life. It's all programmed within you from the start. So you have the choice. It's your journey. It's your choice. You choose how you want to live it. Please choose wisely. And this is where we say bon voyage. But what we're going to do now is, if anyone wants to come on, either with cameras or without, on their microphones now and ask a question, that's good. So we'll take some questions and answers. We give you the answers. And for the people that have chatted,
yeah, there's some down there.
There's some at the bottom. There's 5 chats at the bottom at the moment. So when everyone else leaves, if those people want to stay online for the chat, I'll just answer those questions, if that's all right. So you can unmute and chat if you want to, or ask a question.
So, any questions from anyone?
I'm sure there's a few, really.
I don't know.
They're all going to sleep. They're
No,
mindful.
they're mindful of themselves. So remember that a question asked and answered is a lesson for everybody. So if you have a question for us or a comment to make, you have the opportunity to do it now if you would like to. So does anybody have a question for us?
Mariam actually posted a question on the group chat, and
Okay.
I would like to hear the answer for that too.
Well, we can't read it. It means we have to go up to the screen. And that's what I said at the
If you want
beginning.
to
If you stay on at the end, we're going to go to the chat box and we'll answer all the questions on the chat box at the end.
Unless you want to ask it now.
Unless you want to ask the question now, which is fine.
I can ask now. How are you doing?
Hello.
Good. Well, I wanted to know that there's an event, universal event happening tonight. An asteroid is passing by the Earth.
It is.
So are there any vibrations or anything? Does it affect the energy level that we are operating on? Does it have any effect? And is there any meditation we can do tonight to connect to the universe in this scenario?
Okay. Personally, I cannot prove it. Personally, this is how it works for me. This planet is absolutely beautiful, and it's actually at this moment in time it's repairing itself. With the COVID, we're getting a lot less pollution and all sorts of other things because we're not going out, and the air traffic is much better. So all sorts of things are happening, and it's starting to repair itself. So that's really, really good. It is the most natural thing in the universe for satellite. Well, not satellites so much as in our satellites, but asteroids and all these other things to come through and pass our Earth. It doesn't have effect, I don't believe, on us personally, the vibration, because our planet is so self-sufficient, and with the field that it has around it, it would stop all that sort of vibration and negative energies or anything else. I look at it as being part of our universe, our cosmos, the whole universes, all the universes. I look at it as being one of the most wonderful natural things to happen. So long as it doesn't get too close to my garden, I'm not too worried. But that's realistically pretty much impossible. There's a lot of news stuff yet again about, oh, it's so close to the Earth and this and that, and something's on a trajectory course and all this sort of stuff. To be honest, but the chances of that happening, pretty remote. I think the last time that happened was when the dinosaurs got extinct. So let's just not worry about it and look at it as a nice thing. And if you're lucky enough to be able to see it, please enjoy it.
And just if you asked about should you meditate, I don't know, that's a strong word. I would just sit quiet and be.
And enjoy it.
Just breathe and let it all, just enjoy the experience.
If you
just enjoy it. It's just a wonderful phenomena.
If you can actually feel any vibrations or anything that's happening as this passes, well, absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for asking me a question.
Thank you.
So, anybody else got a question before we finish? We've got about 2 minutes on the clock. So,
I might have something regarding this, just because I don't know about it. It might be just a funny question, but if it has no effect, then how is the moon affecting the Earth? If it's so as you said, it's self-efficient and it's working in itself good, but I just don't know how is the moon so special that it can
affects tides and waves and all sorts of stuff like that. It's a magnetic pull and everything else, and it affects our tidal waves and everything else. You have to look at everything in the universe, this is the way I see it, and all the planets in our solar system. It's almost like they've been put there for a reason. Every one of them does a sort of little job and has an effect on us, of course. The same as if we was in other universes, other star systems, each planet there would have a different effect. I don't tend to worry too much about it. What I tend to do is look up at that sky and I see millions and millions of stars. And what a star is the sun. That's all it is the sun. Everything you see up there is the sun, apart from the planets. You will see planets, of course. But stars are suns. And you can have the most powerful telescope in the world and you'll still see it as a star. You'll only see the planets. But everything has its order within the universe. And I tend to not worry about that because I think I've got enough to worry about on the Earth.
Yes, just appreciate the beauty of the night sky, because it's just amazing. And it kind of puts the whole universe into perspective, that it's part of the oneness. Right. Yeah. So if you're looking up at a beautiful night sky, sit quiet, look at it, absorb it, be one with it. It's like you can look at the sun, you think, okay, the sun is 93 roughly million miles away from the Earth, but if it was to come closer by about 4 or 5 inches, our temperature would soar and we'd probably be burnt. But it won't, because everything has its right place. Does that make sense? So it's the natural order. Yeah. And just touching briefly on something else, which is almost like a bit of commercial. I don't know when this will be. We will be doing a seminar on life in the spirit world. And the law and order of the spirit world. So watch out for it on the Illuminations calendar. It's one of the titles we've given them, or it might be one of the new ones actually, but we will be doing it because we know how we are here. We know the order of things, but they have the same order there in different ways. So we're going to explore that as well, which should give you a true sense of self. So welcome back to yourselves, or that journey back to yourselves. We hope this has been useful, and thank you all for coming.
And I'll try and get to, so if the people want to stay online, if you'll goodbye, and I'll try and I'll go up.
So we're going to, I mean, hang around if you want while we do the questions, but we're going to have to, Mike's going to have to move up and check the actual chat box because we can't do it from here. We haven't refined that yet. We're only 2 weeks into this online stuff, so we're really on a steep learning curve here. So again, thank you very much. Have a lovely evening. And those of you who want answers, just stay around. I think the chat box is there. He's got to, and I think.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
That's all right. It's our
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good evening.
See you too.
Thank you. It's afternoon here. It's fine. So, chat box, what have we got?
What have we got? Well, Miriam, while talking about my experience in the universal event of an asteroid, well, I've answered that one to Miriam, so thank you for that one. Thank you. Thank you for the messages. Thank you. What an event. I have one privately. Okay. Otherwise, what I'm talking about right here. So, okay. So all the chat's nice. Are actually just.
There's a few comments on there. We've
some nice comments, all been.
So thank you for your compliments.
So nice. Giovanna, thank you for speaking to you today.
Chrissy's here again. Hi, Chrissy.
Chrissy Davis, yeah.
Yeah, there she is. And Brian Brown, I think he's gone now.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Can't unmute him.
Hello, sorry, I'm late.
Oh, we just finished.
Where are you? Who are you?
I'm listening, but joining the discussion.
We have
Christina. Okay.
We just finished.
She's very noisy.
Okay.
I'm listening. I listen to the whole discussion.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Watch out. Have a look in the May calendar for our next seminar.
Yes,
We're not sure what date it is, but we'll be there.
Thank you for Shalom as well.
Take care.
I think Shalom's gone, is she?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalom.
Thank you, Shalom. Thanks for all your help with everything.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Illuminations Wellbeing Centre.
All right. So
thank you, Giovanna.
Everybody. And we hope to see you
Roxanne,
again
Deborah,
on a seminar.
Okay.
It's really good.
Good. Okay. Oh, Gia.
So,
Okay.
so we're going to go now.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you again.